أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا بالقاسم محمد وعلى إطرة الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجهم. Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome to Real Talk again. It's great to be back. I know we're 1 week early, it's because I'm not in town next week, so we brought it forward, and it is the last day of the month anyway, so it's not too far out. Thank you for joining us. Today's guest is Siddika by Jaffer. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine.
Alhamdulillah. Do you want to just introduce yourself and tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. My name is Siddika Jaffer. I have 4 girls, 3 are married, and I've got 8 grandchildren. And I was widowed 5 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So can you tell us the circumstance behind how you lost your husband?
Yes, I will go through the memory lane right now because I just commemorated 5 years of his death this month, 5 days ago. He didn't have no symptoms, nothing. It was half term, which is 24th of October. He always takes time off to drop my little one tuitions. He likes to spend time because she was the last one born after a long time. So there's a big difference age group between the older one and the youngest one. And so he said to me, okay, we have 1 car. So he said, I'll drop you to work. Don't take a bus. I said, all right. And he took me to work and he told my daughter, Elena, that I'll be back to take you tuition. So in the car, we didn't chat much. And because we were getting late, I said to him, don't go too early because otherwise there's no traffic and you'll be stuck. You'll just be waiting there for you. Elena won't be able to go inside the person's house. And so he said, okay, all right, that's fine. So I clearly remember I just got out of the car, slammed the door, and I was rushing to work, and I didn't even say Khudafis to him. In half an hour, I obviously get to work, you log in and you switch your mobile off and everything. I was talking to my other colleagues downstairs. I come to my desk and I see so many missed calls, and I see an email from my other daughter, my second daughter, saying, Mom, call us back quickly. Dad's had a cardiac arrest.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah. And Elena was...
What was your initial thought when you saw that?
To be honest, I don't know. If I go back and think about it, I was in like the zombie mood kind of thing. No reaction, nothing. And so I logged off. I don't know where I got the strength from. Allah knows, I just got the strength. I logged off, and I'm telling my colleague that my husband always used to tell me that he'll die like this. He used to tell me, I will go like this, with his click of his finger.
Seriously?
Yes. And so she said to me, oh, are you okay, Siddika? Do we need to drop you? I said, no, call the cab. I've called the Uber. I know exactly where my husband is because that's the road I take normally on weekdays to drop Elena tuitions.
So you actually had a heart attack on the way to dropping your daughter?
In the car.
While he was driving?
While he was driving. And Elena called the ambulance. And then obviously she called her sister, and my son-in-law was home. So they came to the area where the car was there. Luckily he...
And how old was your daughter? Sorry, how old was your daughter at that time?
At that time she was 15.
Oh my gosh.
At that time, yeah. So when I said...
Did he crash the car or did he just stop? Sorry.
I think because he was driving, so obviously the last thing I think he must have known he's losing control, and the name he called out was Elena, and he hit the car on the side. So luckily he wasn't driving very fast, and it's in dual carriageway, so he hit the wall and the car just kind of stopped on the side. And so when I was sitting in that Uber, and I was just, I don't know, I was just not crying. I was not reacting until I got there. When I got there, when I saw the scene and people and the paramedics and my daughter crying. I think that's when it hit me that this is real. Yeah, so, and then the paramedics came, they tried to revive him, they couldn't. My son-in-law spoke to his brother who was a doctor, and he spoke to the paramedics, and the paramedics had already warned him that be prepared, he may not come back. So my son-in-law came and just literally put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Mom, be prepared, Dad may not come back."
Wow.
So I said, okay. I just said, okay. Do you know, it's just, and here I'm trying to be strong for the girls as well, because they were crying and I was controlling myself not to cry. Lastly, then the hospital, they took him to the hospital because they couldn't revive him. So they tried to do ballooning, and my second daughter and me got there, but the police car took us there. By the time we got to the hospital, we saw Zaid being surrounded by all these doctors. And Ali is telling me, "Mommy, what are they doing to my dad? What are they doing to my dad?" And I said, "Stop it. Let's go in the corner and we'll pray for him. Those doctors are trying to heal your father. And maybe if anything happens to us, they will learn from your dad's experience." So we sat in the corner and I was literally just praying tasbih, whatever came in my mouth, because at that time, you know, that shock, you can't connect as much. So whatever you do, it just comes out, you know, and hoping for the best. And then we were put in a room and my other daughter came. Then we called my brother-in-law. And then by 12 o'clock, they came to tell us that he's not going to survive. So obviously, that's when it hit me badly that he's now no more. And the worst thing is when he came into the room, I will never forget, because we had him until from 12 to 7 o'clock in the evening in the room. My mother-in-law came, and that was the worst time. I cannot forget. My mother-in-law is telling the doctor, "Wake him up, let me sleep here." She had already lost one son long time ago in her 50s in cancer. Losing this son who she treated, you know, at old age, you treat, they become like babies. It's like when, you know, when a baby's at home and mom come home, how, or fathers come home, how excited they are. That's how my mother-in-law was whenever she saw Zaid from work. And he'd, "Zaid, can you make me tea? Zaid, can you make me this?" You know, and mom and son would talk. And so now she's lost that son suddenly. But that woman, not off to Allah.
Wow.
The patience that I have learned from her, honestly, she's the one who I learned patience from, because I'm a very impatient person normally. And she just said, "Bas, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah." But then till today,
At that moment when she was told that he passed away,
she wouldn't.
wow.
She, at that time in the hospital, she knew he'd gone. And then even during the Mayat, she agreed. But after that, she was in denial. And till today, she's in denial. That she knows at the back of her mind he's not there, but she still not ready to accept that he's gone.
So your mother-in-law used to live with you and your husband?
Yes, my mother-in-law has lived with me for a long, long time. So she's part and parcel of my family. And after Zaid passed away, it took a lot of toll on her, and she became ill. And so she ended up in hospital 2-3 times. And luckily, my brother-in-law was there to take care of her as well, because I was working. My brother-in-law and my sister-in-law, they were all doing turns to the hospital. But it came time that she was to be bedbound. And unfortunately, I couldn't take care of her because I was working full time.
So when your husband passed away, your mother-in-law continued to live with you?
Yes, she lived with me until just 2 years ago. She went to live with my brother-in-law. Yes, yeah.
And that was because she was bedbound, and then you couldn't take care of her.
Yeah, I couldn't take care of her.
Wow, no. That's amazing. So she continued to be your mother even though your husband had passed away.
Yeah, she never wanted to go away from my house. She always said, "This is my house." And to be honest, my father always used to tell me, make sure you do not get your mother-in-law out of the house. And I said, no, Dad, why would I do that? And he goes, no, she's your mother. At the end of the day, she's Zaid's mother and she's your mother. So please, this is my wish for you. Don't do this. And obviously I tried and I can't now because she doesn't live with me anymore. So it hurts.
That's not because either one of you didn't want it, because it just wasn't physically possible.
Circumstances.
Because not only were you working full time, but you actually went through an illness as well.
Exactly. Illness came afterwards, but even before that, because I was working full time, and obviously the doctors and the nurses, because before when she was living, she wasn't bedbound. She could walk, but I still would come from work. I would lift her up, feed her until the carers came, and I had cameras in the house. I could look from work to see whether she is okay, talking to the carers, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. I didn't mind doing that. I loved it. And because I used to come home, she was like my baby. I would come home from work and she would be my first priority. But after being bedbound, after the operation, she couldn't walk. She just didn't have the strength to walk. Yeah. So unfortunately, she had to be bedbound. So that was difficult. Would have been too difficult for me to look after her. That's why.
So initially, did it help having someone who had lost someone they loved so much, in the way that obviously you loved your husband as well? So did it help to have someone that you could talk to who understood what you were feeling as well, to a certain extent? Or you didn't really talk about your husband's death with her?
With her, she just didn't want to talk about it because she was in denial.
Yeah.
So we would, there were times when she would want to eat, and because she had Alzheimer's, she had a bit of Alzheimer's as well. So I would say, okay, can I call Zaid? You want me to call Zaid? And she said, yeah, bola mene. And then be upset. I said, Mom, Dadima, I called her Dadima because my girls called her Dadima, so we always called her Dadima. And I would be upset. I said, she's not coming back. You know that, don't you? He goes, no, yause, chai banavi desi mani. So.
That must have been very difficult for you.
Very, very, very difficult. But I'm glad at least when he wasn't there, at least she was there with me. Yeah. She was like part of him,
Can I ask how, obviously at the beginning when you found out that your husband had passed and, you were going through the motion, trying to be strong for your girls, at any point when it actually hit home and you're on your own, what were your feelings? What were your sort of relationship with God, your conversation with God? Could you share some of that?
So the first night when I came home after he, obviously the day he passed away, people were telling me, oh, we were here, we were at your place. Apparently there were so many people in my house and I didn't know nothing. I could not see anything. All I remember is I sat there and I recited Yasin myself in front of all those people.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes, honestly, that's all I remember. I do not know who came, who did not come, nothing. That night when I went to bed, that's when it hit me that he wasn't there. And then my mom arrived. My mom arrived the next day. My sister arrived. My sister-in-law arrived. And as I was driving to the Mayat, I'm telling Allah, oh my God, I didn't know I would be in this position that I'm going to my husband's funeral. When I reached there, I remember Marzia Bai hugging me. And all I could say was, I recited the Panjata names. That's all. That's all I could do. And she goes, sabar kar tu, sabar kar. Bas sabar che, Allah, che moto. That's it, Because and then there were people who were asking, and after that, and some people asking me, what it was like to be a widow.
This is at the funeral, or?
No, afterwards, people asked me these questions. They said, how is it to be a widow? How is it to be a widow? And I said to them, I'm a blessed widow. And they said, why? are you a blessed widow? I said, if I compare myself, my husband made me capable of being independent. Because if it wasn't for him, I would not have been working today or doing what I'm doing today. It is because of him. He made me independent. And I'm so glad he did that. And I've got a roof over my head. I've got my children, my grandchildren. I've got a house, everything I have, which is alhamdulillah. I can't complain. And when I compare myself with other people, or the widows in Iraq, in Syria, and I feel I am blessed. So I thank Allah for that. Wow. I really thank. What more can I say? It's having money and everything is not everything. It's just that stability around you, or your family, your friends. It's so important.
It's actually beautiful how you're looking at the positives in your situation rather than the negatives. It's like you're not focusing on the fact that, you've lost your husband, but you're focusing on what you have and what he taught you and what part he played in your life. And, you're actually concentrating on what God's given you rather than what he's taken away.
Definitely. And when I look at myself, I feel, okay, even I'll just go back. During the Mayat, I remember very well, it was October and it was very wintry. And we had to extend because the complications of getting the body and all this. By the time they were going to bury him, they said, oh, it's we're going to extend it. I said, that's fine, just extend, but I don't want him to be in a mortuary today. His one day is more than enough. I don't want him. So we had the body. We literally had about 5-10 minutes only to say goodbye to him. And then I'm saying to the people, okay, take him. And my children, I said, Mom, why are you saying this to take him? I said, no, he has to go back to his destination. We can't hold on to him. And after that, we sat down, and then the Maya, I was still fine. I recited myself the Surah Mulk in the mosque. And then the third day, because he was a CPV, he was volunteering in the mosque. So they did a commemoration for him. And that's the day I screamed. I've never screamed in my life to cry. When my brother-in-law went to pick up a plaque in his name, I just screamed. Everybody thought, what's happening to me? Because I was getting breathless. And normally I don't cry like this. I contain myself to myself. I don't even show my emotions to my children. So that's the only day I screamed. But
was there anyone at any point that you actually were able to sort of just go and actually feel the grief, or did you just contain it throughout because of the fact that you have 4 girls and you felt you needed to be strong for them?
I think there were times I would break down. Yes, we would all break down. But then there were times I would look at the positive side as well. That, okay, Allah has taken him, but then I was not alone. And so I'm thinking, Allah, you've taken my husband away. Yes, but I've got my other people around me here now. So maybe that's the best way for him. And you've let me live, because he always used to tell me, my husband always used to tell me that I won't be able to live without you, but you will be able to live without me because you're stronger than me. And maybe Allah listened to his prayers.
Do you look back at that and think, I wish it had been different? I wish I'd had longer with him. I wish I'd said some things. I wish I'd, all those sort of, because it happened so suddenly, there must be so many sort of things that you wish you'd said to him. And how do you handle that? How do you cope with that?
The first thing is I couldn't say goodbye to him. When someone is ill in hospital and you know that they're going to go, there are so many things you can say, right? But in my position, I didn't know. And within half an hour being told he's gone, And I think at that time, you think, my God, Allah's power. Allah's power. Wow. And how... I know we know that we're all going to die one day. But to think about it like in a sense that my perception of death changed the day he passed away.
Okay.
I was
In
afraid
what
of
way?
death, in a sense that you know, it can come anytime to anyone, any minute. I mean, we hear this.
That was a reality now for you.
Yeah, the reality hits you. We've heard about the Prophet Sulaiman standing up and he died. Yeah. So we're thinking, my God, will it really happen to us? Nah, I know we're going to die. Maybe we'll be ill one day, blah, blah, blah. But when it happened like this, it really hits you that, nah. So I kind of took it in that, you know what, Allah, no matter what you do, you take me with dignity. And whatever my mouth is, please do it nicely for me. And it's I don't know how to say it, but it's so difficult to. I mean, all I could do was thank Allah, that thank you, Allah, for whatever you've done for him, but just bless him, and I was praying for him. But as for me, the perception was totally different, totally different. Now, even after 4 years on, then I was diagnosed with cancer.
Wow. Before we go into that whole journey, I'm just trying to think from, as you're talking, I'm thinking of all the petty arguments that, you know, we have with our husbands and everything. And I'm thinking, oh my God, if my husband was to go and then that was the last thing I said to him, that would be awful. And you're just like, you know, just thinking about this concept of maybe that reality should be something that we have at the forefront of our minds rather than the back, and actually
definitely
think about what it would be like if they weren't there in our lives anymore.
Honestly, when I always wanted to grow old with my husband. Let's put it that way. Now the girls were older, you know, and, you know, enjoy life and with him. Till today, when I see old couple moving around my house, wherever in the road, I envy them. And I remember after my husband's death, when my friends came along, I told them, I said, hold on to your husbands. Don't sleep at night without saying sorry. Because there are times we all do, it's normal, natural.
Of course.
We have arguments and we sleep with our backs facing each other, right? And I said, listen, please don't do that, because you will regret. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye, let alone sorry. You know? So.
But I mean, I'm sure he knew how much you loved him, because we can all sense it just by the way you're talking about him. And I'm sure he knows that as well. But yeah, it's a great lesson for appreciate what we have, whether it's our husbands, our children, our parents, whoever it is, actually appreciate them in our lives before they go, because we don't know when they're going to go. We don't know when we're going to go.
Especially when you get married so young, you grow up with them. Like me, I got married very young and I grew up with them, and he molded me. He made me who I am today. So if it wasn't for him, I would not have been independent. Lots of things I wouldn't have done. He forced me, he pushed me, not forced me, he pushed me into being independent. And that's the best thing he did for me. Even while I was driving a car, learning how to drive. I remember I had an accident one day and I said, I've had an accident. And he goes, you're not hurt, right? I said, no, I'm not. Because that's the main thing. You're not hurt. The car is hurt. The car can be repaired. Don't worry about it.
Alhamdulillah. And I think that's probably the best way you can actually remember him, is by living the lessons that he taught you and continuing with your journey that you started together, but then continuing it in his name as well.
Yes. And obviously I've got my girls with me, the strength of my life, and my wealth of my grandchildren.
Oh, mashallah. How many grandchildren do you have?
8, mashallah.
Wow, mashallah, that's amazing. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
They are my wealth. They are totally my wealth, my grandies.
Alhamdulillah. You mentioned that you were diagnosed with cancer a year ago. Can you tell us a little bit about the diagnosis and how it came about and when?
So thing is, one day, just out of the blues, I saw a lump on my breast, and it was pretty big. It came out like, and I'm surprised I didn't notice all this time, because it was quite obvious.
So were you actually checking for lumps, or you just noticed it just?
You see, I mean, like we normally when we change, we do check around. But I don't know, somehow that day
I think most people don't. I think that's really important to actually maybe put here that maybe we should make sure that we do check.
Yeah, we should check, yeah. And I had a habit of checking my breast, but even then, that one day, it just popped out on one side. And I said, this doesn't look right. So I went to work and I told my manager, I said, there's something wrong with me and I'm going to call the doctor, the GP. And I called the GP, and obviously during the COVID times, there were the COVID times at that time, and there was no face-to-face, very few face-to-face appointments. So she said, she asked my history first. Did your mother have breast cancer? Did your anybody in your family? And I said, yeah, my mom's sister had breast cancer and she died at the age of 59. So she said straight away, come and see me then. So when I went to see her, the moment she saw the lump, from her face, I knew there was something wrong. And so I programmed myself. I said, this is something worse than it is. And so she said, I need to take you further tests. I said, all right, that's fine. We'll go for further tests. So we went for the tests. And when I went to the hospital the first time on my own, and then they said, oh, you need further tests, checkups. I said, okay, fair enough. And then
had you talked to your children through about this at that time?
Yeah. So I told them that I'd seen the lump and everything. So, and then I was booked an appointment in Northwick Park on 24th of August on my husband's birthday. And obviously my children could not accompany them. So I went there on my own, and they did a scan. And funny enough, the doctors even don't tell you anything. So I asked the consultant, I said, can you tell me what is wrong? What is your diagnosis? And she goes, oh, I'm not worried about the right one. The left one is cancer. And this is the way she tells me.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, exactly. This is the way she tells me. And I said, okay. And this is how I said, okay. So I got up, got changed, and I said, okay, I've got cancer. So all right, that's fine. I don't know what stage. I don't know nothing at the moment. Yeah. All I know is I've got a C word. And when you hear a C word, it means death. Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. So when you see, this is when I'm coming back to my husband's death, that he died, and now my perception of death is different now. So even if I've got a C, if I have to die, I have to die. Simple. Allah is going to take me. That's the way it is. So I sit in the car and I call my son-in-law and I tell him I've got cancer. He goes, Mom, I thought so, because the way you were explaining about the lump. And
can I just stop you here? You actually said that your perception of death changed, and you said that, you know, if you're going to die, you're going to die. So you were prepared for that. Well, I think we all know that, yes, we're going to die, and you know, we can't do anything to stop that. But did you do anything from the time that your husband passed away to this time where, you know, your perception had changed, but did any of your actions change? Did anything change within you to make you more ready for death, or was it just the perception that changed? I don't know if you understand the question.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I think it's more perception. But then, like,
so
how could I say? I would always say to Allah that, you know, whatever you've given me so far, I'm thankful. And obviously, we know that I'm going to die one day. I mean, my friend died at 59, you know, just 5 months after my husband. My best friend passed away in cancer. So seeing my husband, then seeing her.
Gosh.
So, you know, all this. And when you see her, she suffered quite a bit as well. So, and she knew she was going. I remember she knew she was going. She was told she's going. So, and I'm here, they're telling her, don't worry, it's fine. You know, you'll be fine. Let's not talk about death right now. It's trying to be sort of strong for her. But she went. And so, and I'm thinking, Zaid went, my friend went. Now I will probably go too. So it was like normal thing that, yeah, Allah's brought us in this world and He's going to take us away. So,
and this is how you talk to your children about it as well?
Yeah, I did. And I wasn't afraid at all. And to be honest, in the beginning, I was afraid of death. Like everybody else is afraid of death, right? In the beginning, thinking, oh my God, azab and this and that. But then one day I was just sitting and I'm thinking, especially after Zaid passed away, and I'm thinking, what must he be doing down there? You think all this. What is going on with him? Where is he? What is happening to him? Has Allah forgiven his sins? Because I'm praying for him. And so then I sat and I said to myself that, you know what? Allah can't be that cruel. I know sometimes a long time in madrasas they were told, don't do this, this will happen, Allah will do this to you. And I'm thinking, no, Allah is not like that. Allah is telling us, and obviously I read Quran in English now to understand the meaning. And it's in Surah Al-Baqarah, it clearly says for me, and I was reading the other day only, and I was like, oh my God, there is so much in that just one surah. Tells us so much about forgiveness and how much you do wrong and you ask for forgiveness and Allah forgives you straight away so long as you don't repeat those things. So how can he be cruel? So that's when my fear of death went away. My fear of death went away. I was totally afraid of death, no doubt about it. I can't deny that.
So just, I think what I'm understanding is by experiencing your husband dying and thinking about what was happening to him made you reevaluate your relationship with God.
Yes.
And think about, what sort of God he is and the fact that, and looking at and trying to understand him more.
I think it's
that's
not that
really,
we don't
really
know
beautiful.
what God is like. Yeah, we all know what God is like. But I think when it hits you this way, that's when you get a bit closer.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of those who sits in the musalla 24/7. I'll be very honest. Okay. I'm one of those, I'll be sitting in the car and talking to my Lord. People will think maybe she's a maid woman, but that's the way how I talk to my Lord. Yeah.
No, you're just on Bluetooth, but you're with God.
Yeah, this is, I said, if God is everywhere, he can hear me, and I'm talking to you, so you better listen to me. So this is how I am. And I remember, so when I was told I had ceased, and I said, okay, fine, whatever happens. And I remember my daughter coming with me, and the girls were more worried than I was, to be honest.
I'm just trying to think, your youngest, Alina, right?
Alina, yeah.
How was she handling it? Because she was there present when your husband had his heart attack, and now she's the only one living at home with you, and she's just been told that you've got cancer. How is she handling it? And
she didn't show her emotions how it was, but she only cried after my operation, and I was told I needed chemo. And I said, I don't want any chemo. Whatever life I have, I'll have it. So all the girls, the son-in-laws were there on the table one day when I said, this is my decision. I don't want chemo. I've seen people suffering chemo. So Elena started crying. The girls, Elena said, Mama, I've already lost my dad. Do you want me to be an orphan? And
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, and then the girls and the son-in-law said, Mom, you've been through so far after all the operation now. It's just chemo. Please bear it now. Take it. So literally, honestly, if I've taken chemo, it's because of my children. I wouldn't have taken it otherwise.
The funny thing is, I had the same view, and like I always used to tell my family, God forbid if I ever was diagnosed with cancer, I don't want the chemo and the radiation or all of that. I don't want any of that. I'd rather just let it take its toll on me, and then just but I was actually when I was talking to one of my teachers, he actually said, no, you have to do everything you can to save your life. You don't have a choice. And I was just like, oh my God. So it's like, yeah, I think Islamically, you don't have a choice. You have to do anything you can to save your life.
Exactly. And then it's Allah's wish when you have to go, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So, exactly. So you had the operation, and then you were told that you also had to have the chemo. So you had the chemo.
Radiation as well. Yeah. And the radiation.
Okay. And the radiation, that must have been really tough.
The chemo was the worst. But
and this is during COVID time as well.
COVID. And I must say, I feel, when God takes something from you, he gives you so much.
What was he giving you?
I was surrounded with friends, family. My mom was here. I tell you, after my operation, my mother was here. My mother, she came just to visit me. I didn't even tell her I was already diagnosed with cancer and she was about to come to see me. So when she arrived 2 days later, I sat her down. I said, Mom, I have to tell you something. I've got cancer. And she looked at me. I said, Mom, don't cry. I've taken it very well and you need to take it well. You need to pray for me and I'll be fine. She was here for 3 months with me, and I must say, obviously, with her duas. All the time, Bichari, she was reciting duas, giving me this water, giving me this apar, ada, anya chopar, all this. So, and my positive, I'm very, I don't think negative. I'm always positive. There was a difference between me and my husband. My husband had a bit of a negative thinking. I always was positive. So
you got the balance, right?
Yeah, it's a balance. Yeah, I never thought of the worst. I always thought it will be better.
Yeah.
So even after my operation, my mom would tell me of, don't bend down, you'll hurt yourself. I said, Mom, I know, I'm fine. But this is me. This is me.
Mm.
And I'm one of those, I can't sit in one place. I need to move around. I need to do things. And if it wasn't for my friends during my chemo and everything, oh my Lord. And the people sending me food.
How were your friends there for you during COVID?
All Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Every time I had my chemo session the night before, whatever, they would all come on Zoom and they would do amals for me and recite for me. And my mom went to me, my mom goes to me, my God, you've got amazing friends. I said, yes, Mom, we stick by each other, literally. And they send me food. Yeah. So many people send me food. Not only, I know so many people. In the end, I said, please, I'm going to do things myself. And they would say, no, you can't do it. I said, yes, I can. And I did it. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Everything that you've been through has obviously made you stronger, and you can see that for yourself. When you look at your daughter again, your younger daughter, Elena, do you see how what she's been through has changed her, and has it changed her, or can you see changes in her because of what she's been through? Because she's been through quite a lot in her young age.
In her life, yeah, she has. She never discusses her father. That's the thing. I don't know why. She never discusses her father. Even when I mention anything, she would try and divert the topic. Even going to Kabristan, I have to force her. She doesn't like going.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she doesn't like going. So
I suppose different people handle things differently, right? So it's whatever works for each one of us.
I must say, you know what? Allah has blessed us so well. She did so well even after her father passed away. She was doing her mocks, and then she did a GCC. She did her A-levels. Today she's in uni and doing so well, mashallah. She's working and studying. She's got a nice, with KPMG. She's doing very well, mashallah. And I cannot thank Allah enough for taking care of her and me. I cannot.
So, like you're saying, the one thing that I really loved, you said that when Marziabai hugged you and said that, have sabr, you said, I already have that. So it's that concept of God's already given it to you before he took your husband away. I think that's really, really beautiful.
Yeah, and at that time I was just doing the Panjatan names were coming out of my mouth. That's it. That's all. And I'm not one of those who cries and wails, but I just do it the way everybody's different. Everybody's emotions are different. You can't judge that. So
of course.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things, and I'm feeling blessed. That's all I can say. Really blessed.
Amazing. One of the things that's changed because of COVID is that we see now that as women, we can go to the qabristan and actually be part of the burial. Although, you know, the men are still doing the actual burial, but the women are there looking from afar, but still looking and everything. Whereas that was never the norm. So I think when your husband passed away, it was pre-COVID. So you would obviously have just stayed at the mosque.
Yeah. I couldn't.
Do you think you wouldn't have gone even if you could?
I would have.
You would have. Do you think it would have helped?
Maybe I don't know, because I wasn't there, so I can't say. But
yeah,
things probably would have been a bit different. Maybe I would have had a better closure, I think.
Yeah.
Because you know,
I think there's a lot of things that have changed because of COVID. And again, if we look at the positives, I think this is a great positive, because as women, because we didn't attend the burial, I think it wasn't a reality. And again, you didn't get that closure, and you just sat at the mosque waiting for the men to come back once they'd buried the person. And I having attended a few of the funerals, I feel like it's more in your face now. So it's like you've got it at the forefront now when you're doing things that this is a reality. I'm going to die. Whereas before it wasn't, although we knew it, but we didn't really have it there.
Correct. Yeah, it made such a difference. I know, because when my cousin passed away, my mamasi, who passed away with cancer, her son passed away as well last year in America, and he was 59, and I was diagnosed at 59. So my mom was a bit scared. She goes, you know, I was scared that you hit 59 and you got cancer. My sister died at 59. Her son died at 59. Even he died of cancer.
Wow.
So, and I crossed over that. Alhamdulillah, I just turned 60 last month. So she was quite pleased to say, Alhamdulillah, you crossed over that 9. I don't know.
So where are you on your cancer journey at the moment?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't hear you properly.
Where are you on your cancer journey at the moment? Are you still going through treatment?
My treatment, everything's done so far, but I still have to go through the bone injections and the corrective surgeries. Other than that, and I'm on tablet for 10 years. So other than that, everything is done. My hair has grown properly within 6 months, alhamdulillah. And you know, when I looked at my hair, that was the biggest blow for me. Because if those people who know me, that my hair has to be perfect. So it was like a biggest blow. But the thing is, the day after my first chemo, I saw my hair fall off. And I called my husband's auntie, can you come and shave it off for me? And I shaved it off. I said, I don't want hair all over the house, so I might as well shave it off. And I shaved it off, and I took a picture with a big smile and sent it to my friends and my children. And obviously my grandchildren were surprised to see Nani bald. So
this is you sort of taking control, I suppose, to a certain extent.
Yeah. And,
did it feel empowering?
Yes, in a way it is, because you know, when the good thing is, when you go to the hospital, you realize you're not alone. You're not alone, and there are people who are worse off than you. So that's when you get that strength as well. You feel, my God, what I had 4 chemos and they were bad. And I could see other women when I was talking to them, they were having 10, 13, because they told me that if I don't have these 4 chemos, most likely the cancer will come back within 3 years. And I would need more chemo. And really, do I need those more chemo? No, thank you. I don't need after being that 4 chemos. So I said, okay, you know, let's do it, this 4 chemo. I know it was the worst thing ever. I wouldn't wish for anyone. So that's when you compare yourself with others and you feel you're so much better off.
I think the greatest lesson here that I'm getting from this is, it doesn't matter what your life situation is. It doesn't have to be cancer. It doesn't have to be losing someone you love. Whatever life situation is, whether it's health, financial, emotional, upheaval, whatever it is, there is always someone worse off than you. And if we can concentrate on that, then it allows us to see the positives in our lives, right? Because to be grateful for something that you had, which has been taken away, whether it's your loved ones, whether it's your health, whether it's your, you know, status or money, is really difficult to be grateful until you see someone worse off. Then you realize, even though you haven't got it, you've still got lots of other things.
Absolutely. You feel so grateful. Even when you're
Yeah.
going through whatever, you feel grateful. And I couldn't thank Allah enough. That's what I'm saying. Just not enough. And
This is where God tells you that, you know, within the difficulty there is ease. Not after, but within the difficulty there is ease. And you're actually showing us that. That's beautiful.
And I feel I'm happy I'm the chosen one. I feel
That's
happy I'm
so
the
beautiful.
chosen one. Honestly, it is, because they say Allah only chooses people who He loves and who can handle. And
For sure.
Alhamdulillah.
For sure. Alhamdulillah, that's amazing. So everything that you've been through, if I was to ask you, what was the greatest learning? What is the thing that you would like to share with the listeners? What are the things that maybe if you knew before you went through these life situations, it would have helped you, and maybe it might help us going through some life situations? What are the things, advices you would want to give us?
First of all, whatever happens is in the will of Allah. So tawakkul.
Okay, sorry, can I just, what does that, sorry, I'm just going to get you to expand on that, because we've heard this so many times in the mimbar, in madrasa, from our parents. It's like, have tawakkul, have tawakkul. What does that mean in reality?
For me,
yeah.
For me, I would say, first I lost my husband. Then I had cancer. I didn't complain, because, the Creator wants me to go through this, and I will follow it because it's His will. And it's the inner strength that He gives me at the same time for me to go through this. And I can't explain, but even when I read everything, I feel the strength that I had within me was from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And
so it's truly tawakkul, I suppose. Sorry, tawakkul,
faith. For me.
Sorry, tawakkul is that faith that whatever happens, because it's His will, because He's in control, He won't ever abandon us, and He'll always help us through it, give us what we need to get through it.
Accept with a smile and put your sajda down and say shukr. That's all. And
okay, so in practical terms,
everything goes
the practical terms, smile and sajda shukr.
Yes, definitely. And the second thing is, obviously people pray for you when you're ill, and it's so nice, but then something has to come within you and be positive. Don't think negative, which is sometimes very difficult to be positive, because we're humans at the end of the day. And people tell me, you're strong, but I'm a human being as well. I can break down. I break down. It's like a rock. At the end of the day, you can break a rock, but it takes long to break. Same thing. I'm human. I do break down. But I come across strong, but does not mean I'm always strong. But yes, be positive. Think that whatever Allah, that connects, because Allah's will, you have to be positive, and Allah will guide you.
So and I suppose when you're being positive, you're actually being grateful for the things that you have, rather than ungrateful for the things that you feel you don't have. Yeah, so concentrating on what you have, because what you focus on is what will grow, right? So if you're focusing on the positives, that's what will grow.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And I've never felt why me. Never done that. Because when you come, as we've discussed before, that when we compare with others, we feel we are better off. So why should I say me? That's what even my mother-in-law never said. Why me? She never said.
Okay, playing devil's advocate, what if you looked at someone else and saw how much better off they were than you, rather than you being better off than others? Would that not then make you look at the negatives rather than the positives?
Can you repeat that again? I have to think about it. Sorry.
So you're saying, no, it's fine. I'm just trying to put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know you are.
So like you said, whenever something happens, you look at others and see how much worse off they are than you. what if you were to look at others and see how much better off they were than you? Because that's what a lot of people do, right? They think, they look at people and they think, Joe, you know, that person has no problems, that person is so healthy, that person has got all their family around. You know, they're always looking at what other people have rather than what they have.
Yeah, so that comes to my third thing that I was saying. Thank Allah for choosing me in this journey.
Wow.
And yeah, so that's when it comes to me, because Allah chooses people. Just because, I mean, when you go to, you know, when we see a beggar and you see, my God, they're beggars. But those beggars may be even better off. They'll sing, no, and they're maybe living on the streets, but they're happy.
Yeah.
They're happy. They're quite comfortable. So similarly, in my position, if I've been given this journey, I'm thanking Allah that you've given it to me and you've helped me with the source of my people around me and your blessings to combat it. And I have. Today it's 1 year, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And it, I suppose it, by choosing you, it is actually sort of picked you out to be different to everyone else. Otherwise you would be like everyone else, right?
Obviously.
So this shows that you're special.
I'm lucky. I'm lucky.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So the 3 pieces of advice, again, let's go back to it. Tawakkalullah, where you have total trust in Allah, and the way that you do that is by a smile on your face and sajda shukr practically. And the only way you can, again, have that smile authentically and actually do a sincere sajda shukr is to actually look at people who are worse off than you. Absolutely. And realize how much you have rather than how much you don't have. So concentrate on the positives and what we have rather than what we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, nothing is our right. Yeah, I think a lot of problems we have is we feel that this is my right. It's my right to have my husband to an old. It's my right to have health. It's my right to have, you know, my family around me taking care of me and things like that. Nothing is your right. So being grateful for whatever. Yeah.
Sorry to
no, go on.
mess you down. I work for the Department of Work and Pensions, and I'm a work coach. So I know when we have people saying, oh, I can't work because I'm sick, and they'll be very simple illnesses, right? So we try and train them to say, tell us what you can do in your circumstances rather than you can't.
Nice.
Yeah. So similarly, really I could think of myself that what I could do and I can do in my circumstances to go through this journey.
So with that also, what you have rather than what you don't have.
What I don't have. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so tawakkalullah, looking at what you have rather than what you don't have, and therefore looking at all the positives rather than the negatives. And like you said, in every life situation, there is always positives and there's always negatives, and it's our choice what we want to focus on.
Definitely.
So even something like cancer, you're choosing to focus on the fact that you have family around who are supporting you, you have friends, even during the COVID time, who couldn't come to see you, would talk to you through Zoom and have those virtual conversations, virtual meetings.
Yes, definitely.
So you had that support. Following on from that, before I go into the third, sorry, let me just finish with the third advice as well. The third advice you said was to thank Allah for choosing you, because it makes you feel special, that you're not the norm like everyone else. You're different because God's chosen to pick you as different and give you a different.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Beautiful, and that's beautiful. What are the positives that you take out from COVID and everything that we've been through with the whole pandemic and everything?
I feel people have realized the benefit of relationships.
Beautiful. Yeah.
We were taking life for granted and not being, by touching. I mean, like COVID for me during my chemo was like COVID, because it was more like COVID in the sense at night, all I needed was someone to hold my hand and tell me, you'll be fine. I know there were friends who were calling me. I know who were friends, my children were there, my girls were there all the time and they were talking to me, but nobody can be your husband. Yeah. Wow. Someone who is next to you, holding your hand to say, you'll be fine, you'll be okay. We are here for you. I'm here for you. And that's what I miss the most. So taking a bigger picture during the COVID time, yes, we took this relationship too much for granted. Be it your family, be it anybody. And how much longing we were to meet each other, even during going to mosque, right? Yeah. We miss going to mosques. Yeah. Why? Because of that social interaction.
Yeah.
So I think this COVID has not only come to teach us a lesson, God has made it purposely for us to all learn everything. I know it's a financial crisis, but in other terms, I think it's done a good.
Yeah, no, I think it's taken us out of the race of life that we're in, and made us sort of reevaluate our life and our relationships and our families and things like that. Beautiful. Finally, before we finish, one of the things that you said, which was very touching, was that that's the time when you missed your husband so much, when you were going through the chemo, and although you had your girls there and you had your friends, there's a totally different relationship that you have with your husband, which obviously you missed out on. And I know you said you never thought, why me? But at that moment, was there any time when you were having those conversations with God where you thought, why couldn't you have given me the cancer while he was alive rather than after he passed away?
He wouldn't have been able to handle it.
Again, the positive, right? The positive is that he wouldn't have been able to handle it. So why would you want to put him through that? And made you much stronger. And maybe I'm just trying to think, maybe it actually strengthened your relationship with God and made you sort of trust him even more. Whereas if he had been there, maybe you would have sort of relied on your husband more and not so much God. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like Allah was telling me, come back to me. Return to me. You are there. I know you love me, but you have not given me the attention the way you should. So come back to me. And this was the way of him showing me. So the end of the tunnel was light. Passing through the tunnel and the light. So this is how I see it.
So beautiful. I'm going to finish on that note because I think that's such a beautiful message to leave us with. Thank you so much, Siddika, for joining us, for sharing your journey and your emotions. It's been such an eye-opener. There's so much I've taken away, which I'm going to honestly take and hopefully live. And although you didn't give this as one of the advices at the end, the fact that, you know, the relationships that we have, whether it's with our children, whether it's with our husbands or our spouses, or whether it's with our parents, I think we need to really appreciate those relationships because we don't know when they will finish. Inshallah, we will meet each other in the hereafter and be together in the hereafter. But at least, you know, in this world, while we have them. And again, these are people that God has given us in our lives. So again, being thankful for them is really, really important. Thank you so very much for taking time out and sharing your.
Can I just mention something, please? I just want to like the viewers to know that I'm available if anyone wants to talk to me, and they can call me anytime. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. If you do feel you want to talk to Siddika, please get in touch with me and I will pass on her number to you. So please take her up on this offer. Thank you so much for that, Siddika. If we can, before we finish, just quickly, the next Real Talk will be the first Sunday of December, which is the 5th of December, inshallah. So please join us on that. And before we finish, if we can recite a Surah Fatiha for your husband and all other mahroomeens. If we can recite a Surah Fatiha with the Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Thank you very, very much again for being part of Real Talk. Been a real eye-opener for us. Jazakallah khair. Thank you. Inshallah, please join us again on the first Sunday of December, which is the 5th of December. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.